The College Basketball Experience SEC 2024-25 season preview episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up. And what do you do? Sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing college football and NFL with Rhythm. Get your 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. And remember, as always, folks, to let it ride.
Hey, this is John Sally, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Yes, yes, yes. Woo! Welcome to the College Basketball Experience. SEC 2024-25 season preview episode. YouTube.com/the College Experience. Get on over there, hit that like and subscribe button. And wherever podcasts can be found, subscribe, like, rate, share, review, all that good stuff. Do that because we got, obviously, with college basketball, every single conference, every single night of the college basketball season, we are live and doing it. And also, don't forget about the college football experience, college baseball experience, just killing it all across the board. Even doing it, we even gave you a Frozen 4 episode. What the hell? Hey, we're killing it. All right. If you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, my name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I'm probably drinking too much and celebrating too much and not sleeping. Would have killed a normal man, but no, that's gone. The medical advice I got from that was like being hit by lightning. Pretend it never happened and get on with your life.
Oh yeah, you want fireworks? Not you're bringing in Texas and Oklahoma into the conference, but those aren't the fireworks I'm referring to. I'm referring to, well, first you got transfers going from SEC schools to other SEC schools, some of them rivals, but the real one is this is why I really can't wait to watch this year is, there might be a guy that took a job at Arkansas and said this.
And you know what? I'm jacked about another opportunity. I'm like, let's go. Now, I met with the team. There is no team.
Met with the team and there is no team. That is John Calipari leaving Kentucky for Arkansas. We're going to talk all about that. And we're going to talk about just a conference that just seems like a bundle of fun this year. As long as Greg Sankey doesn't, I want to root for this conference, but Greg Sankey's threat of ruining the NCAA tournament makes me almost hate this conference at the same time. We'll talk more about that too. I am joined by my co-host. Give it up for former video coordinator for Hall of Fame coach Bob Huggins and Frank Martin. He is the host of the Ryan and Rush Show. He is the host of the Big 12 College Experience. He is also featured on the College Football Experience and College Baseball Experience. Give it up for Ryan McIntyre. How are you, brother?
I'm doing good, Dundee. Shout out to a vet in the chat. October 4th tonight, November 4th, we tip it off. And one other thing I do want to add, I got 1 year experience in the SEC. I got a Final Four in that league, so I know a little bit about the old Southeastern Conference, baby. Let's go.
And we are also joined by third man in the booth. He is he's just behind the scenes, always just kicking ass. Sent me over a spreadsheet so dense I don't even know what to call this. We got a dossier on every goddamn player in this conference. You've heard him on all the other previews as well. He is the host of the College Basketball Experience and the College Baseball Experience, but he's also always on the boards on the College Football Experience as well. Give it up for the great Noah Bieniek. How are you, brother?
What's going on, guys? Yeah, I'm going to pander to the crowd. I'm your guy, the baseball guy here at the College Basketball Experience, College Baseball Experience, College Football Experience. So, I mean, I come in peace, but please
Prepare
don't fuck
for
it
war.
up for us, Sankey. Please don't fuck this up. Like, we don't want tournament expansion in either any of these sports besides football. We're okay for playoff expansion.
There's a big meeting Wednesday, and you're lucky you guys squeezed this episode in before then, because it was going to be slander if they destroy this NCAA tournament. Oh, we need 96 teams in this tournament.
Either way, this feels like one of our patented late Friday night shows previewing a mega Saturday slate. I'm excited for the SEC this year. I think I don't know how many national title contenders there are in this year's league, but I think there are plenty of top 4 seeds come NCAA tournament time. I think this team's really deep at the top. At the bottom, I think it gets really mucky, but I'm excited to talk some SEC basketball today.
Yeah, no, I think this is there was a point maybe 10, 15 years ago where you had Kentucky rolling, or bits and pieces. Florida was rolling with Billy Donovan, but man, there was a lot of dead weight in the conference some of those years when it comes to basketball. And you look now and you're like, damn, this thing is deep with good coaches. I think it's the deepest it's ever been with good coaches as far as I can remember. And I've been a huge college basketball fan since 1990. So it's kudos to them for upping their college basketball game. We know they're great in football. We know they're great in baseball, but they've done a lot to help their basketball image. Wouldn't you agree, Mac?
100%. I can just remember the year I did spend in there, 2017. We were like a 3-bid league, I think 3 or 4. It was South Carolina, Kentucky, and Florida is what I remember. But you mentioned it. They've gotten a lot of money from football. It's trickled down to basketball, hiring really good coaches like Nate Oates, Bruce Pearl, Rick Barnes, Buzz Williams, Chris Jans, bringing over Coach Pope over from BYU now. You got Chris Beard as well. You got guys that have proven track records at multiple places in this league, and it's a really good basketball league now too.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. We're gonna talk. We'll go game by game. I'm not game by game. We're gonna go team by team. We'll go game by game once the season starts. Yeah. But before we do that, I want to let you know that look. We here at SGPN, we are the College Basketball Experience, part of SGPN's network, and we if you haven't had the chance to go to the Appalachians, not only is it a beautiful place, but there's such great people over there. And I got married in Boone, North Carolina, and or outside of Boone in Beach Mountain, North Carolina, and it was just it was so beautiful, and everyone was so kind. All my trips there, really. And we were completely devastated here at SGPN when we saw the damage that Hurricane Helene had put on the Appalachians, and just all the good people there out in Western North Carolina. And as the days continue to roll on, the worse these stories are, man. I've heard some horrible stories. Whether it's someone sitting on the roof of their house when they all of a sudden starts moving down a river. I heard another story of a woman that lost her 8-year-old son and her husband down and they're gone. So the numbers keep piling up, man, and the damage is really catastrophic. And you know what that means, folks? That means it's our time to step up, because that's what we would want if this happened to us. So here at SGPN, we teamed up with the local charity mountainprojects.org to help give back. We spent a lot of time trying to find out a good charity that we know, because sometimes you donate and you find out 3 years later that 70% of that money went to some CEO's fucking lunch. You know what I mean? So it's no, this one you can trust. We've done our due diligence here. So please, if you can help out, once again, mountainprojects.org, and the biggest donation will get a spot on the college football pick show that we do every week. A ton of SGPN gear. You can promote whatever it is you do. So please, if you can, hop on over to mountainprojects.org, hit flood support, and let's help out. These are our brothers and sisters. These are our people, man. We gotta. This is our responsibility, man. If this, and I would expect if this happened to me, I would hope that some of my own countrymen would step up to the plate. So come on, please, if you can, mountainprojects.org and click on flood support. And like I said, how many people over the years, Mac or Noah, have reached out to us and said, man, I'd love to buy you a beer if you're ever in Dallas, Texas, or wherever.
Yep.
And that's fantastic. That makes us feel great. But I say, pause that, man. If you could just put that $5 beer money or $8 beer money, whatever, over to mountainprojects.org, that's a much bigger win for us. And then when I see you next, I'll buy you that beer. All right. So please, if you can, mountainprojects.org, hit flood support, and let's help some people out, man. All right, we are back and we are talking college hoops in the old SEC. It's not the old SEC anymore because Texas, Oklahoma, how this is going. There's no Arch Manning on Texas's basketball team that I know of, but they've definitely done a good job, spending a lot of money. So it's a brand new SEC in that regard. Porter Moser also with Oklahoma coming in, and then just some coaching turnover at a couple spots we're going to talk about. But let's just jump in. Let's just jump right into this because what a year it was for the Alabama Crimson Tide. And I can just picture Auburn fans.
The alphabet here.
I can just picture Auburn fans being like, they did what? They're in the Final Four now? Because I feel like Auburn fans could milk that before. Yeah. You had the 2019 Final Four run. You had like Charles Barkley era. You had like Chris Porter era. You had some really good years, but now you're just like, oh fuck, man. Nate Oates and them are doing this. They're doing this now. Final Four run, the first ever Final Four run for the Tide, and then, not that I'm a Tide fan. I'm just saying I keep using the Auburn analogy. I think they were hoping. And really, all the SEC coaches were probably hoping, hey, Mark Sears, go off to the NBA. Hey, Grant Nelson, go off to the NBA. Hey, Latrell Wrightsell, go off to the NBA. Look, they all came back for their 5th season. All right. That's going to be tough. Now, they also got Chris Youngblood. Now, he is out for 2 months with an ankle injury, but still – coming over from South Florida. They also brought in Clifford Amarori. How do I pronounce that? From Rutgers. Yeah, I always butcher that.
Big man.
And then the big one.
Oh, this is ridiculous.
This isn't big, but go ahead.
No, it is big. Transfer. It is big in that fucking state, dude. All right. Aiden Holloway.
He's barely going to play.
It doesn't matter. It's about principalities. And this is where I do agree with like people that say like, because sometimes people say what's happening to the college game? You could have gone anywhere. You chose there.
Yeah.
I think I'm on team old school on this one, where it's like, I actually would have liked a blocked transfer from Bruce Pearl. You know what I mean? I know it's a dickhead move, but I'm saying, you got 360. That's what I'm saying. I don't think
Alabama to Auburn or Auburn to Alabama. That's
what I'm saying. Like, can't we have just a little bit of rules? A little bit of rules.
Yeah.
I can't speak too much because we did get Roddy Gale from Ohio State, but
yeah.
Disgusting.
It's just, it makes me question the youth. I recently became a father, and I like to think if my son came to me and said, "Dad, he's already played a year at ECU, and I'm going to go to NC State." I go, "No, you're not.
You're not my kid."
Yeah, because we will not be talking. Go anywhere else, son. All right, you could piss off. You could piss off anywhere else, but you go there. Those free meals stop happening. Those phone calls talking about stuff stop happening. I mean, can't we just have a little bit of rules?
Buy the grocery bill.
Yeah, everything. I mean, you got to have a little structure in life, right? Anyway, Nate Oates, he's known for good structure because anywhere he goes, he fucking wins. I think, and by the way, they bring in a 5-star freshman in Darion Reed. That's another guy added to the mix. a couple other 4-stars, as well as so Aiden Sherrill, LeBaron, Phil.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to get to this
name. Oh my God. Noah's got a number 1 favorite team, and also Nas Cunningham. And they still have Mohamed Diobate. Man, this is going to be a good team again. And I think they'll be in contention for winning the SEC with 3 5th-year seniors starting. They're going to be in contention. Mac, what do you think of Nate Oates and Bama this year?
Yeah. So Noah and I did an episode like a month ago, and we drafted what we think will be the best programs for the next 5 years in the SEC. And I think I had the first pick, and I took Alabama because of Nate Oates. Nate Oates has won the SEC 2 out of the last 4 years. One of the years he didn't win it, he goes to a Final Four. They have an identity. They're going to space you out, drive a kick, shoot a bunch of threes, score the shit out of the basketball. And they got a rim protector.
Double murder.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Have a little dust up in Brandon Miller. I think they'll be better defensively with the Murray as a rim protector in the back. Love Sears coming back as well. Grant Nelson. This is a top 10 team easy in the country. And I think they're right there to win the SEC again under Nate Oates.
Yeah. I mean, they've done a great job. And that Oates hire, you look at what didn't he almost leave? Didn't there was speculation that he almost left or something?
They were saying Kentucky,
he was in a bunch of coaching rumors this latest cycle.
Yeah. I mean, but he's staying in Alabama. It says something about him, man. I mean, I know that obviously they pay good, but at the same time, like, that's historically a football school. How many back in the day, back in my day, kids,
yeah.
I feel like basketball coaches with their egos, just like any coach with their egos, but basketball coaches would say it's better to land at a school to become a basketball school. But I also think maybe the football has become so huge that it's almost hard to find that. Noah, what do you make of the Tide?
Yeah, so us on the college basketball experience, like in recent years, we've voiced our opinions against this Alabama specific extreme 3 and D philosophy. And the fact that the Crimson Tide had a favorable draw to get to that Final Four, we were talking about that a bunch last year. They played 2 double-digit seeds, North Carolina from the ACC, Clemson from the ACC. The bottom line is that there was one fatal flaw of Nate Oates' team last year, and it was rim protection. And he went out and gave Cliff Omarui from Nigeria life-changing money to leave what would have been the best Rutgers team in program history. So I do think that Rylan Griffin's absence here is going to be felt. He was like the one loss other than Aaron Estrada that could, like, Estrada was out of eligibility, but Griffin really could have came back, but he transferred out late. And because of Chris Youngblood's injury, look, I think they're a guard short. I was high on Youngblood at Kennesaw State and South Florida with him and Amir Abdur-Rahim, but I don't expect much from him coming back from ankle surgery. Look, it's a positive if they get anything, but it's a real untimely injury that kind of just nags for a while. And I think the Tide are a guard short from being an elite national title contending team. Mark Sears is going to be great again, but I don't think Latrell Whitesell, Aiden Holloway, and Houston Mallett are going to be good enough to supplement the missing assets. I don't know what we're going to get from freshman LeBaron. Philin is a guy that has been generating some buzz in the offseason. But outside of that, I question the guard depth here. Alabama's still going to be in the mix nationally and for an SEC banner, but I think Alabama's more of a top 15 team than a top 5 team like everybody else is clamoring for.
Noah plugging the LeBaron.
Yeah, I'm sorry. There's a UNLV Syracuse game on. That's quite the
hell
barn
of a
burner
game right
now.
now.
Quite the
It
barn
really is
burner.
a hell of a game.
Yeah, some of the guys they lost Muhammad Waig to Oklahoma in conference now. Nick Pringle. Once you pop, you can't stop. He goes to South Carolina. Lamont Paris. Sam Walters goes to Michigan. That's the real reason why you're fading him, right? It's the real reason why Bieniek's fading him. Davin Cosby, no relation to Bill as far as I know. He heads off to Wake Forest, but just watch every drink he gives you. Rylan Griffin also heads out to the Kansas Jayhawks and Chris Parker, KRS-One right there, going to Villanova. Yeah, I mean, they did a great job. They did a great job in the portal, bringing in some guys. I like that young blood assuming he gets healthy, and I know he's already injured, but yeah, I mean, I can kind of see what Bieniek's saying. Like they got a very favorable path last year.
Nobody's talking about it.
Disputing that. Yeah.
Nobody's talking about it really, but there is some redshirt potential from young blood here too. Cause like this is his last year of eligibility. I don't necessarily think he's going to be a pro. You would think that like there is potential. Like if he doesn't get back by mid-January, early February, that he could redshirt here.
That's a good point. That is a good point. Folks, want to tell you before we jump to the next team that the college basketball experience is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Pick'em has one of the biggest menus for all sports. They got NFL, college football, college basketball, MLB, MMA, CFL, WNBA, NASCAR, and much, much more beyond that. Their lobby is jam-packed with profit boosts. You can now use specials and boost on all flex entries as well. So sign up, and when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com promo code TCESGPN. All right, we are back and ready to roll on over from from the Tide to the most exciting team in college basketball, perhaps this year.
Here we go, baby.
Yes, the Arkansas Razorbacks. John Calipari. I mean, Greg Sankey, I will complain actually, even though yes, the NCAA tournament. How do you mess up the opportunity to do a home and home?
A home and home. Yeah, this is fucked up.
Only one matchup between Arkansas and Kentucky here.
It's ridiculous.
I know. Come on, like that's the game we all want to see. You have a chance to market the sport. Like some people talk trash about the college basketball regular season. I would never do such a thing, but this would be like for your TMZ crowd. This would be unbelievable TV ratings if you just capitalize on it. And I would assume you would know about TV ratings since pretty much you and the Big Ten commish Kevin Warren / Tony Batiti have detonated the goddamn sports of college sports. Yeah. Anyway, John Calipari goes to Arkansas in a classic move. Heads over. He's got that Tyson chicken money, spinal. All right. And he brings some guys with him. DJ Wagner follows him. Adu Thero follows him. And then, he walks into a team. I know he said there is no team, but he did get Brazil to stay. And that was big because he hit the portal. That right there is big. Then he went out and got John L. Davis from Florida Atlantic. And of course, it's Calipari. He's going to bring in some big time recruits. Boogie Fland, Carter Knox. Those guys coming in. Also Tennessee transfer Jonas Adu coming in. Is that how I pronounce that? I always forget. I'm loving this. And look, I know they lost a ton. He met with the team. There is no team. Tremont Mark, Khalif Battle, Devontae Davis, slew of players left. Who cares, right? You brought in Calipari. All right. You lost Musselman. You don't got to worry about Calipari taking his shirt off. All right. And this was a home run hire, man, because they got better. Now, I know the backlash is he hasn't done well in the tournament lately. But you just lit a fire under John Calipari, in my opinion, and maybe that's what he needed. Sometimes you lose your edge a little bit. I think you can go back throughout the history, and there was times maybe where it looked like Coach K, or it looked like some of the more historic college basketball coaches were starting to lose it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they found a way to challenge themselves, and they bounced back into the mix. Can that happen with John Calipari? I think they are contenders in this SEC race, and I think they're going to be right there in the final week of the season. Mac, am I foolish to think so?
No, I mean, he finished every year at Kentucky in the top 4 of the regular season in the SEC outside of the COVID year. So coming in with a chip on his shoulder, maybe a little bit of new energy after leaving Kentucky. Honestly, his team kind of looks like a Kentucky team that he had in Lexington, bringing over multiple guys from the portal that are following him, whether it's Wagner, Big Z's coming with him. I think he'll be better in his second year in college. John L. Davis from FAU, Adu from Tennessee, who's gone through the SEC gauntlet. I think this is a top 4, top 5 team in the SEC, and they're going to be must-watch TV. The big question, like all Calipari teams, how long will it take for them to mesh and click? Because there's a lot of new faces that have not played with each other.
Yeah, I think he's more driven this year. I think it shows by the move. And to me, a driven Calipari, I want to get behind. All right. Mm-hmm. So yeah, let's go. Bieniek, your thoughts on the Razorbacks?
Yeah, you guys touched on a lot that I wanted to hit on. I guess I'll fill this in. A big story for Arkansas this year will be how soon do they figure out what they can get out of Trevon Brazile. He was in the portal for a while. This was a late addition for a reason. Look, I don't think he was very sought after in the portal. Is he completely dust after his injuries, or does he still have some of that explosiveness that made him, that exciting prospect? Bottom line, Arkansas has a really good floor with everything that both Mac and Colby have already mentioned, and they have a motivated coach that wants to prove that he shouldn't have been kicked to the curb by Big Blue Nation. So I think Arkansas is going to be in the mix here. I don't feel too strongly about that. I feel better about some other teams in the SEC for sure. But I definitely think they're a top half team here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this going to be fascinating to watch. It's going to be fascinating to watch. This is why the sport's fucking great.
Cameron 3 asks if Arkansas gets a high tournament seed, are they on auto fade, or was it a Kentucky problem?
I think it could be a
little bit of both. We got to see the team. We got to see the team play. If there's obvious defensive deficiencies like last year's team, then yeah, maybe they'll be on fade. But I think they're a little bit older too. I mean, John L. Davis been to a Final Four. Adu just played in an Elite 8. So they got guys that have won in the tournament before.
Yeah, Adu's a defensive stud too. Like he was a defensive. He shut down. He played Edey very well. Like shut down. I that was initially what came out of my mouth. But Edey didn't get shut down last year. He played Edey about as good as you could have.
Yeah. This is gonna be a fun conference. Next, let's jump over to the Auburn Tigers. Bruce Pearl. Speaking of LeBarons, he'll sell you one right off his car lot. All right. The ultimate used car salesman. JP Pegues comes in from Furman. Furman was a fun team over the past couple of years. Miles Kelly comes in from Georgia Tech. Jaheim Hudson from SMU. And then, he brings back a ton. I would say the big one there is Johni Broome. Where was he at again? Morehead? Was that Morehead State? He was at
Morehead. Yeah, Morehead. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, he was OVC player of the year.
Yeah. Chad Baker, Mazzara, Denver Jones, who was a stud at FIU, Chaney Johnson. They bring back Dylan Cardwell. Now they did take a couple of hits. Obviously, Aiden Holloway going to Bama, disgusting. Blech. But also KD Johnson going to George Mason. It's a huge get for the Patriots there. Also, they lost Lucas Clanton and Trey Donaldson. Oh man, you got to figure this team would be better based off of another year older and bringing back that much. I don't have them, and they're still going to contend. Like, if you told me, do you have Auburn as a top 5 team in the SEC this year? I think I do, but I don't have them winning the SEC. Mac, your thoughts on Bruce Pearl?
Can I lead this one?
Sure.
Mac and I talked about this pre-show. For what it's worth, I went back and listened to last year's show. We didn't talk about this at the top of the show. Auburn was my bust team last year. I had them finishing 10th. I didn't like the youth in the backcourt. I still didn't really like it, but they had a very, very good season. And just for the record, Colby had Florida as a bust. That one didn't really work out. My sleeper was Florida.
What do you mean they weren't a bust?
They finished 6th in the conference.
They had a solid.
They finished they had a good year. Florida was my sleeper, and that was a better pick than a bust. Your sleeper was the best pick, though. It was South Carolina.
Oh, I know. You don't need to tell me. You don't need to remind me either. All right, I got that on a fucking bulletin board at the house. All right,
I'm just putting that on record before I go all the way in on Auburn because I'm about to. They've had a top 5 defense in all but one of Bruce Pearl's last 6 seasons. They retained Johni Broome, which was super impressive, and maybe even more impressive is the fact that the Tigers, they'll have 7 seniors or grad seniors on this roster in this rotation, and they lost what they lost. Granted, I think that their offense has a higher ceiling with JP Pegues. He's coming in not to fill a role of a scorer, but this is a kid that put up almost 5 assists per game last year. And I think he wants to win, like going from Furman, who was a winning basketball program, now going to Auburn. He's going to play competitive basketball games each and every single day. I think he wants to win in March. I think their offense has a higher ceiling than they did with KD Johnson, who just wanted the ball, Aiden Holloway, Trey Donaldson, who are both young. Surrounding Pegues is a great shooting core of Denver Jones and Chad Baker-Mazara, who they both drilled over 40% of their threes last season. Broome and Cardwell are both super efficient down low in the post, and there's depth here too. There's great offense. Pearl's going to get the benefit of the doubt from me on the defensive side because of 5 top 5 finishes in the last 6 years. I have Auburn as the front runner to win the SEC title this year.
Woo! I disagree. But no, I mean, look, I definitely think they're a team in contention. They've built such a great home court environment there. Always such a tough place to win. And can I ask you just off the top of my head, and I'm just talking out of my ass a little bit here, but I'm saying how many times has he won a regular season conference title?
Just he's won it twice.
In the SEC or in general?
Yeah,
his whole career?
Yeah, he won it in 2018, and then he won it in 22. So he wins it every 4 years.
Yeah, that's more than I thought, though. So maybe I am disrespecting them. I just feel like there's so many more good coaches in this conference now. But either way, I do think they're going to be in the mix for that. I have them contending. It's not like I have them in 10th. But Mac, your thoughts on Bruce Pearl and Auburn?
Yeah, I have them top 4, top 5 in the SEC. Probably top 4. I like the guards. I love Johni Broome coming back for his 3rd year in the program.
Michael Stark's cracking me up in the chat here. I guess the cocktail napkin is just as high as you are. Auburn not winning shit. That's what he says.
He must be a Tide fan. I love it. Yeah, I mean, what's not to like? They got a lot of talent. They're old. Bruce Pearl's a proven winner. But when expectations are decently high at Auburn, they seem to kind of come back a little bit. So I'm going to pick them in the top 4. Like I said, I'm not going to have them winning it, but I do like this team. And maybe Auburn goes to the Final Four this year as like a 4 or 5 seed in the dance. Them and Alabama blows.
Dude, we saw it in baseball a couple of years ago, 21-22. Mississippi State won it, then Ole Miss did, and then Southern Miss wanted to try crack at it too.
Gonna be fun to watch all this. Next, we're gonna talk about the Gators, but before we do that, I want to let you know that the college basketball experience is brought to you by Rhythm. SGPN's proud partner. Rhythm is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, props, all that good stuff. You can kick back in cruise control and just copy one of the top performing models from the leaderboard, or you can build your own model like I do. Select what I like, and then it builds around that. Rhythm gives you predictions for every game, player prop, and has a slew of stats, research, trend analysis to give you even more betting insight. A bet that I like this weekend, I like the Arizona Wildcats against Texas Tech there at home in Tucson in college football. So check out that, claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. We're also brought to you by BetUS. BetUS, bet with the best of the business. BetUS has been around for more than 30 years, man. And you can easily deposit using cryptocurrency and get lightning fast payouts. Sign up. All right. And deposit $100 and you have a chance of winning a 1960 Ford Mustang. Woo! Bieniek, what are you doing, buddy? I know you were grabbing all the scattered ass in Detroit with the LeBaron, but you can win a 1960 Ford Mustang. And that, what does he say in True Lies? The vet will get the girls wet. No, the 1960 Mustang will get you tang. All right. I guess that's me being very clever. Anyway, use our sign up link and get a 125% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/betus. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/betus. Promo code SGPN so they know that we sent you. BetUS, America's favorite sports book. Did he just block that fucking kick? Did he block that kick?
I don't know. My dad called me into the living room because Tommy Schuster's playing quarterback because Sparty's getting stomped again.
I saw that. I'm sweating out both these games. It's incredibly hard. Okay, Michigan State made the field goal. Perfect. I got them plus 24.5. Now we're talking, and UNLV made a field goal. So if Syracuse scores a touchdown, I win. I have them on the money line. I have them plus the points. And I'm having a magical week right now. Ever since last Saturday, really. I feel like should we do the rest of this podcast? The Florida Gators. Look.
We can do them and we can stop after the Gators, right?
Yeah, Noah Bieniek is a Florida fan, and look, Florida's playing Michigan and Charlotte. I tried to invite you to that Jumpman Classic, but I don't know if I caught you on the wrong day. He said, "Hey Dundee, go fuck yourself," and you don't want to come down to that Jumpman Classic there in Charlotte.
I'd love to, but I think that day was loaded or something. I came up with some stupid excuse. They're not playing each other. Michigan and Florida played against each other last year.
That's right. So. That's right. But they're in the same tournament though.
Yeah, but it alternates days. Like they have a women's game. Same teams play women and men on the Monday, and then they come back for Tuesday. It's a 2-day event.
I mean, the Econo Lodge offers, if you get two nights stay. Yeah. I know that LeBaron. 2 days in the LeBaron, free for the most part.
Yeah, but, that's how it's rolled the last couple of media visits that have gone more than 5 hours.
Look, Boiling Springs is like what 20 minutes outside of Charlotte. I don't know, something like that. You can go get the Econo Lodge in Boiling Springs. It will bring you home. Florida. Look, I am Todd Golden. Let's just say I still don't know about Todd Golden, but we'll see.
Oh, you were buying into him last year. What are you talking about?
No, just for a game or two down the stretch. Who was it that whooped their ass? I was on somebody that won by like 40 against Florida last year. Was it Auburn? Might have been Auburn.
I don't know.
There was one super embarrassing defeat I remember last
season. It was Auburn in the SEC championship
tournament. Walter Clayton Jr. is a stud. He's back. They also went out and got Elijah Martin from FAU. Will Richard back as well.
Sorry, Colby. We watched this Florida Colorado game in that theater in Westgate.
I was on.
That was a fire game. As soon as I walked in there to play heel, not really trying to pester you guys, Florida turned it around. That was a great finish.
I was on the Buff, so of course I'm a genius. All right. You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. Will Richard back as well. Alex Condon back as well. And then they went out and got Washington State's Ruben Chinyelu, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I couldn't.
Chinyelu.
Yeah. Sam Alexis from Chattanooga. And they didn't use the portal as much as I feel like years past, Noah. What's the logic there?
Well, I think it was more about getting what they needed in the portal rather than, grabbing a whole bunch of supplies. Todd Golden, he's had a top 100 defense in all 5 seasons of his head coaching career, which has been short, but all 5 seasons. He's had a top 3 guard in the SEC this year and last year with Walter Clayton Jr. He did a little bit of everything, averaging 17.5, 3.5, 2.5 over a steal per game. Hopefully his Robin to his Batman is Elijah Martin. And here's what I'm saying, fix some needs, because we lost Zion Poland. I think he was a huge loss. Riley Kugel came on late, but was nothing close to what everybody was kind of assuming that he could be. It became a public narrative last year that one of the reasons why FAU didn't quite play to the capability of their previous year's team was because of, Elijah Martin wanted to be the ball dominant guard compared to John L. Davis. Breaking news, he won't have the ball in his hands in Gainesville either. Another big loss was Micah Hanlogden. He had an ankle injury in that SEC tournament. I think it was the championship game that kind of just ravaged that entire mood. Golden's going to attempt to put the pieces together in the best way possible. Like you got Ruben Shinyelu coming in from Washington State. He'll give you probably 22 minutes a game. And then you're going to start Alex Condon probably at the 4 alongside him. One of those two are probably going to be on the court at all times. And then Thomas Huff as well off the bench. We know what we're going to get from Will Richard. He's the 3, one of the wings. However, the new guy on the block here that a lot of people are going to get to know this season is Irvin Klavzar. He's going to maybe force Golden's hand at some point because, Richard's steady. Klavzar is going to be boom or bust this season. He's a guy that everybody's upset about, and I understand why. Like, he's been playing pro ball in Europe for the last 3 years, and now he's got freshman eligibility. This kid averaged 16.1 points per game and shot 38% from 3-point range in the 2024 U20 Eurobasket tournament. His Slovenian team went 6-1, and Klavzar dropped 23 points in the gold medal game. He can ball. Golden's going to have these guys playing good defense, and if all these pieces gel together, the offense is going to be really, really good and have a lot of potential for this to be Golden's best year in Gainesville.
Oh, buddy. Of course, he's a Florida fan. He's going to say this: Gator, Gator, Gator. I mean, look, there is a lot coming back that I think you can be bullish on and think that this team could be good. He's still got to prove it to me. I know that there were certain games where maybe they got up and they looked good, but there was also certain ones that I cashed on that I remember thinking, I don't know if he's the guy. Is that a stretch, you think, Mac, that I'm saying Todd Golden's got to prove it to me? You're on mute.
Yeah. I do definitely think he still has something to prove. I mean, he hasn't finished above 6 in the SEC, but I thought last year was a really good step from that first year where they were around 500. I think they're going to be similar to last year. I think a little bit better. I like the guards. I'm not completely sold on the front court. I think losing Hanglotten in the SEC title game was devastating. So hopefully he can make it back towards the end of the year, just with how gruesome that injury was. But how can you not like the trio of guards, Clayton, Martin, and Richard? I just think they're going to be able to score the ball and maybe not be as good defensively this year.
Yeah. I mean, I have them still. I'm looking at, I still have them potentially in the dance, but I don't have them top 5.
Oh, they're making the tournament. What are we talking about here?
I have them.
Florida's going dancing.
5. I don't have them. How many teams do you think from the SEC? I know we should ask this
10.
at the end.
They'll get an extra team or 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about it at the end.
I have Florida between 4 and 6.
Okay, I got some breaking news for you, buddy. Well, let's wait to the end.
Let's
talk about Mike Snow White, who they sent out of town. All right.
Yeah, I didn't really agree with that.
Well, he pulled a Calipari too. He read the room.
Yeah,
it's important thing to do is say, maybe they don't like me much here. Georgia taking strides. I feel, or making strides, not taking strides. You know what I mean. They return my guy. Give me some of that Blue Cane. All right. He's back after a nice freshman season. Our favorite player at SGPN perhaps is Blue Cane. Silas Demery's back as well as Asa Newell. I like to say Asa. Tyron Lawrence comes in from Vanderbilt after Jerry Stackhouse's tenure was a disaster there. Did I just win? No, I didn't. Not yet. RJ Godfrey comes in from Clemson. Dakota LaFew from Mount St. Mary's. Got multiple Mount St. Mary's transfer. They're plugged into the pipeline there. Deshane Montgomery being the other. Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to do what he's kind of been doing the past couple of years. I just hit.
Cute.
Let's go. That's a money line play. I hate to get ahead of myself here, but I can't lose right now all week. Since Saturday. What a game that was. Yeah, that was a great game. Bullshit, roughing the passer too. Yeah, I mean, I think Georgia is still like going to be a competitive team in this conference, but I still kind of have them being more of the same, if that makes sense. How about you, Mac?
Yeah, I think, I mean, back-to-back 11th place finishes. This is a big year for Mike White, especially with Florida getting back to the dance this year. Obviously, expectations at Georgia, you can kind of fly under the radar. It's football season, but they do want to go to the tournament every 3 to 4 years. So a little bit of pressure here on Mike White, a lot of turnover with the portal, like you said, bringing over Tyron Lawrence and company. I kind of think it's more of the same. I think they're an NIT team.
Yeah. Bieniek, we know you don't like Snow White, but
I actually like them.
Yeah. What do you make of these dogs?
The only thing that gives me pause with this Georgia team, other than wearing this Florida hat, is they don't have a true rim protector that I can fully trust. The backcourt here could be really good for the Bulldogs with Silas DeMary Jr. Making noise in the offseason, demanding acknowledgement for a potential breakout season this year. And then Tyron Lawrence coming in, has SEC experience, although he had trouble staying healthy with Vanderbilt. He could play like a star at times for the Commodores. And I think there's really good depth on this roster with RJ Godfrey, the two Mount St. Mary's playmakers, and Santos Cerro, who was originally committed to Coach Cal in Kentucky. That was a big, get once he, uncommitted for Mike White. Asa Newell is the wild card on this roster because he's definitely a bigger offensive threat. He lacks physicality on the defensive side of the ball, but he can block shots. And, I think SEC centers are still going to be able to go to work on him down low, but he's going to be feisty. Bottom line, I think I'm going to be high on Georgia than compared to others. Last year, I remember being concerned with South Carolina's defense in the paint, and it didn't come to face value. So I'm not going to weigh that too much here on Georgia, and we'll get to one other team as well. I have a positive outcome season for Mike White in Georgia this year.
All right. So you should be a politician with that fucking answer, but okay. Let's talk about these Kentucky Wildcats. I think one of the more intriguing teams in the league, as they call in an old timer, Mark Pope, to fix things. All right, he cares about the program. His heart's in the right place. And Mark Pope comes in from BYU, and man, he met with the team, and there is no team as well. But he brought in, just a slew. Obviously, they lose everybody on this team. Reed Shepherd, Rob Dillingham, Justin Edwards, DJ Wagner, literally everybody. They who do they bring back? No one, not one player, right? And they went out though, and they brought in Lamont Butler from San Diego State, and you may very well be familiar with him from his run to the national championship with the Aztecs 2 years ago. Also, Jackson Robinson follows him over from BYU. Kirk Kriesha, who's been at a few schools now. Hi, Mac. He comes in from Dub V.
Hi, Mac.
Yeah, Andrew Carr comes in from Wake Forest. Kobe Bray from Dayton. Brandon Garrison from the likes of Oklahoma State. Otega Owe from Oklahoma. Amari Williams from Drexel. Ansley Almanor from Fair Dick. And then they bring in a couple freshmen that 2 4-stars and a 3-star. But good Lord, I think they're going to be pretty good though. I think they're going to be pretty decent. I think Mark Pope's a good basketball coach, and I think that environment is going to rejoice without Calipari. For whatever reasons, that should have gotten stale there, and I think the fan base is ignited again, and they're behind Mark Pope. and I think they're going to be a little bit better than what people think. Mac, your thoughts on the Wildcats of Kentucky?
Yeah, I like Kentucky this year. I think they're flying under the radar, to be honest. I know that's hard to believe, but they outside of Creasa, they didn't really go after the big sexy names. I mean, Lamont Butler, Kobe Bray, Jackson Robinson, Andrew Carr, Brandon Garrison, Away from Oklahoma, and Amari Williams from Drexel was productive. I like the team, and they don't have to rely on Kirk Creasa if things go sideways there. So I like their core intact. I think Mark Pope is a good basketball coach, and I think Kentucky's going to be in the top 4. I think they're going to overachieve in year number 1. I don't think that they're going to miss the tournament like I've seen some people project.
Yeah, not on board with that. Bieniek, where are you at with these Wildcats? You got to miss in the tournament?
Not quite. But I'm not as high on them as you are. But I do look at this team as, a damn good team. I think the SEC is really good at the top. Mark Pope's teams tend to shoot the ball pretty well, and they are going to be able to shoot the 3 ball very, very well this season. You look at this roster and their experience with 7 seniors or grad seniors in the expected rotation. You have to like that. I also think that the defense here is going to have a good ceiling to it, as Lamont Butler, terrific defender coming in from San Diego State, and the duo of Brandon Garrison from Oklahoma State and Amari Williams should be suffice at the 5 defensively. So if Pope can avoid, giving Kirk Creasa too much playing time and inversely get a breakout from just 1 or 2 wings, like Kobe Brea being a killer at Dayton, if that translates to SEC, or maybe Jackson Robinson, he emerges as a leader because he's been in Pope's system before. Andrew Carr could give you a little bit of everything here. Maybe he turns into a stat sheet stuffer. I think there's a wide variety of outcomes for this Kentucky team. I'm going to land a little bit above standard deviation, but probably not as high as Colby.
All right. Okay. Well, let's jump on over to the boys in Baton Rouge. Matt McMahon, can you say hot seat? How do you feel? How hot is the seat there in Baton Rouge, Mac?
I don't know. Louisiana basketball fans are watching Lake Charles a little bit more than Baton Rouge, maybe.
Well, yeah, that's what makes the seat hot. Is the guy that's front of the program kind of had it rolling at LSU, and then he's got it going at McNeese now. Honestly, McMahon hasn't been that bad outside. Like last year, I felt like they kind of came on strong at the end of the year, but year 1 was a disaster in league play, going 2-16. But they got a lot of money down there. They're not going to stand for missing the tournament 3 straight years. So this is a big year for them, to answer your question.
Yeah, and well, he brings back a few players there: Tyrell Ward, Derek Fountain, Jalen Reed, Mike Williams III, all back. Same with Damian Collins on the bench there. All those guys got double-digit minutes a season ago. But then they go out and bring in UT Martin, a Skyhawk. I want that pilot, Jordan Sears, as well as guard Cam Carter from Kansas State, and DJ Bailey from Richmond, the Spiders. They also bring in a couple 4-star, freshmen. I think 4-star freshmen. Debatable. Also, Trey Green, who's a stud, tight end football recruit there. Blended in football and basketball. Yeah. Look, they lost Jalen Cook. They lost a few other guys, say like, Jordan Wright, Will Baker. I think this team's not any good, and I am going to fade them. So I'm out on LSU. They're going to be dreaming of Chris Jackson and Shaquille O'Neal and Big Baby Davis all year, because they're going to miss those days, because I don't think they're going to be very good. Mac?
I don't know if I think that they're going to suck. I just think that I don't think they're an NCAA tournament team. I think there's too many question marks, lost too many guys that produce, and just the backcourt coming in, being a new backcourt together. Let's see how they mesh together. McMahon, I mean, this like you said, man, the seat's hot, and when they watch Alabama and Auburn do what they're doing over there, LSU that doesn't sit well with the people of Baton Rouge. So I think they're a definitely bottom half of the league team here.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like their roster was more talented last year, I think.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bieniek, your thoughts?
Yeah, look, on paper, they lose quite a bit of production, but LSU still top half in the conference when it comes to returning minutes and experience. But, Coach McMahon overhauled this backcourt, and he's expecting Jordan Sears to play a major role on this team after playing in the Ohio Valley last year. I don't love that. LSU's a team that I have to see in November and December play to get a good feel on how good they could be. But as of right now, I'm just not predicting a very high ceiling for this team this year. But, we've all said it. They lost quite a bit of production. They do return quite a bit. Why weren't they good last year is the only question that I have. Is maybe LSU's got a little bit better in them. But you can't predict it, I don't think. So, yeah, bottom half team for me.
Yeah. Better luck next year, Tiger fans.
You've got a soundbite for that, right?
I do somewhere there. Yeah. I don't know where the hell it is, but how about this?
What's that smell? You stink.
Next up, Mississippi State, Chris Jans, my guy. Nothing like watching a 42. This is like the Tony Bennett of the SEC. Love watching some Hail State basketball. They went out in the portal, brought in a few guys. Claudell Harris, I thought was a nice kid from BC. Riley Kugel from Florida.
Via Kansas.
Yeah. Kanye Clary from Penn State. RJ Melendez from the Georgia Bulldogs. Michael Nwoku from Miami, and Jeremy Fomina from the Rams of Rhode Island. I mean, Jans uses the fucking portal. He was able to keep Keyshawn Murphy there, who had flirted with leaving. Cameron Matthews back as well, who had played about 29 minutes a game. Josh Hubbard, big one to get back. He was one of their better players. A couple 3-star freshmen coming in on the bench. They lose a ton though. When you think about it, you lose Tolu Smith, who had been there for 30 years, I feel like, or been in college basketball for 30 years. Deshaun Davis, DJ Jeffries. It's a lot to lose. I expect a little bit of regression, but I still think they're going to be a tough team night in, night out. So I still think they'll be there flirting with the NCAA tournament, and maybe they get in, maybe they don't. It comes down to a couple 50-50 games, but I think when it's all said and done, probably if I had to place a wager, I would say they're going to be on the outside of that, but it wouldn't shock me if Chris Jans overachieved. He's been doing it his whole damn career. Mac, your thoughts on Hail State?
Yeah, they definitely overachieved the first 2 years under Jans. Back-to-back tournaments, back-to-back first-round exits. I think I do agree with you that we know they're going to be on the bubble. They've been on the bubble the last couple of years with much better teams. A lot of question marks here with all the new guys, but Jans is a JUCO guy, and he's done it at New Mexico State, so he's used to turning over this roster. I think they're going to be right around the same, 20 to 22 wins, 500 in the SEC. Very entertaining because they'll guard the shit out of you. Struggle to score often.
Yeah, just 42 to 40 type games.
Yep.
Just muck. The definition of muck. Bieniek, your thoughts on Hail State?
Yeah, look, if Chris Jans gets 20 to 22 wins out of this team, I'm tipping my cap because I don't like a lot of pieces on this team. The only positive I'm going to say is Jans is a really good defensive-minded head coach. And also, Hubbard was a dog last year, 17 points per game. All right, that hurt because now I got all the positivity out of me. I've already kind of voiced my opinion on Riley Kugel. He didn't play great last year, was not great his freshman year. He's kind of a hype beast that didn't turn into anything. Kanye Clary was the leading scorer on a Penn State team, and he got kicked off the team. That's not normal. And then RJ Melendez, who is with Illinois, another good recruit, then goes to Georgia, and he only plays well in games that they get blown out. That's not normal. I am not a fan of this roster. Look, I know Mac's right. Like, he has experience. Just kind of. I think Rothstein calls him the dentist.
He's good with the rejects.
Yeah, I think Rothstein calls him the dentist. He's good at just fixing things up that don't look pretty. But I can't buy into this at face value. Like, this roster is just Josh Hubbard and a bunch of misfit toys, and I'm not there. I have this as a bottom half team, and I'm going to try not to be too low because I know the defense is going to be good, but I can't get there with the Bulldogs this year.
Wow, just like that. Could be.
He's
right.
gonna be so mad when they win every game.
No, I'm not. Like, I've been a Jans fan. Like, I think I did the exact same thing last year to a point. It was only because Tolu Smith was out for the first 2 months. It was kind of exact same thing with Youngblood, but Alabama's going to be way better than Mississippi State was expected to be last year. But it was kind of the same thing because Tolu Smith had a preseason foot injury as well.
Yeah. Let's talk about a team that I am actually kind of bullish on. I think Dennis Gates is going to be a lot better this year. I like this Missouri team. Now, always using the portal. I feel like Gates does this a lot, but getting Tony Perkins from Iowa with Mark Mitchell and Jacob Cruz from UT Martin, who balled out there, and then getting the big man Josh Gray from South Carolina and Marquise Warwick from the Norse of Northern Kentucky, bringing in a couple 4-star recruits, 4 of them, and then bringing back Tamar Bates. Hopefully, Caleb Grill decides to play this year. But
he was hurt last year. Last year he was hurt. He was kicked off the team at Iowa State. That's not normal either.
He was mentally injured. But look. Call me crazy, but I kind of like some of those gets, man. I think Missouri is going to be a lot better than people think. Like, 2 years ago was when they had that big, his first year, they had a big year, and then last season kind of fell apart a little bit. I think they're back to more of that first year type of season. I like Missouri. I think they're going to be a tournament team this year, and I think they're going to be better than what people think. Your thoughts, Mac?
Yeah, what a shit show of a program. Go from 25-10 and 11-7, one of the best stories in the country, to 8-24, 0-18, and you lose your SEC conference game. So 0 for last year for Dennis Gates and the Missouri Tigers. Hard to believe. I do agree. They will be much improved, obviously. I think they're somewhat near that 20-win mark. I think that they're probably going to be on the right side of the bubble. I do like the pieces. They got some veteran pieces coming in. Tony Perkins has played in big games at Iowa. Mark Mitchell, new scenery at Duke, and Josh Gray as well. So, and I like some of the mid-major pieces they got. So, yeah, I think Missouri right there to get back to the NCAA tournament, bubble team.
Noah, your thoughts on these Tigers?
On paper, Missouri looks good, but I'm not buying it. I'm being a little stubborn. I've watched all of these individuals play basketball before, and I don't see any way how this roster is really going to mesh. I think Missouri's roster has a lot of empty calories. I'll say that. Tony Perkins was a point guard in a Fran McCaffrey offense. He's going to stuff the stat sheet. Mark Mitchell had a down year last year at Duke. We talked to the NC Nick literally this week, who said he just needs a change of scenery. But gun to my head, the SEC is not going to be any different for him, in my opinion. Tamar Bates benefited from a Missouri team not having any other real offensive threats last year, so he had a good year. He was not really a contributor on an Indiana team 2 years ago. Marquez Warwick was a dog in the Horizon League. Is Dennis Gates really going to actually try to do this 3 straight years? It worked 1 year, didn't work last year. He's gonna live or die trying. And then Caleb Grill, I said it literally 5 minutes ago, but he was kicked off an Iowa State team after playing for TJ Altenberger for 3 years, 3 straight years. UNLV for 1, Iowa State for 2. He was money from 3, and he still said, "Hey, you're not good for this team. See ya." Before March even started, literally on March 1st. That's not normal. I have Missouri finishing near the basement again.
I got a wager for you, buddy. All right. I got a wager for you. We'll see. That's part of the fun of this whole thing. Let's talk about Chris Beard and Ole Miss. they're fun. Like the state of Mississippi's defense, very elite, very elite. Jalen Murray, Matthew Morrell, Brakefield, Codwell, all back from the team a season ago. Now they go out and they add Sean Padula from Virginia Tech. I like that. Get Dre Davis from Seton. He's been, how many teams has he transferred from? Malik Dia from Belmont. They get Michael Brown Jones from UNC Greensboro. Going out obscure places. Javon Benson from Hampton, Devon Barnes from Sam Houston State, and bringing in four-star John Bull. Chris Beard's good. They'll be there at the end of the. I mean, I don't think this is a team that's contending by any means, but I just think they're going to take another step forward. They'll be them. Like they're kind of like Mississippi State to me.
Yeah,
where it's like, man, you know. It's like playing a football team. You know what I mean? And it's just like, okay, they're going to win. They're going to beat some opponents that have no, you know, you would think no way. And they'll probably lose to some opponents that you'd think they just had a tough shooting night. But I think they're going to be, you know, flirting with making the NCAA tournament. Probably going to make it if I had to bet. And yeah, they're going to be a pain in the ass to play night in, night out. Mac, your thoughts on Chris Beard and Ole Miss?
Oh, you know me, man. I love me some Chris Beard. I think he's as good a coach, in-game coach, as any coach in the country. I have this team dancing. They bring back their two guards that average, 30 points between the two of them. Brakefield comes back as well. I like what they did in the portal. They're starting to look a little bit like Texas Tech with a bunch of 6'5" to 6'8" guys. And I think they're going to improve defensively. This my sleeper. I think that they are easily in the NCAA tournament. Beard's not missing the dance back-to-back years.
Yeah. I think they'll be in. But it's going to be fun to watch. Bieniek, your thoughts on these Rebs?
It's kind of funny that. So Max said that they look a lot like his Texas Tech team, and look, nobody is talking about this Ole Miss team in the preseason, which scares me a little bit because I'm really high on them, and they are my sleeper team in the SEC too. Here's the nugget, and this is why I think it's funny that Mac thought they looked like a Texas Tech team, but nobody's talking about this. Mark Adams, the former staffer under Beard at Texas Tech, formerly the assistant head coach at East Carolina, he joined Chris Beard, the staff, this offseason. Yeah. So this staff is like incredible. Both of them troubled past recently. It's just an awesome coaching staff, right? But
innocent until proven guilty,
right?
Charges. What are we talking about here?
Yeah. So look, nobody's talking about it, but I think that's a tremendous. Out of all the portal gets, I think that one was the best one. They have the most experience entering this year in the SEC, according to Torvik. They returned 58% of their minutes, which is the second most in conference. This year, they won't be any pending waiver situation that forces Ole Miss to play with only 8 or 9 guys for the first 2 months of the season. Granted, that was Chris Beard's fault because everybody recruited like there shouldn't have been any waivers that were accepted. But, you know, he pointed the gun to his head and said, make me fire it. And the NCAA couldn't answer in court. So, you know, he was able to get a lot of those guys for conference play, but it hurt him in the non-conference. And that's why they couldn't get in the NCAA tournament. Dre Davis, incoming from the Seton Hall, is a perfect fit for these guys. The Rebs can do plenty of things on offense with great guard depth. The one possible hole is that they don't have a true rim protector. But between Georgia and Ole Miss, like I said, both of them, I think there's a hole at the true center spot. But last year, South Carolina didn't have one, and they had a really good regular season. Look, I think one of these two teams are going to surprise a lot of people. And I'm gonna go all in on Ole Miss. I think Chris Beard has some really good pieces for this upcoming season. So don't let the Rebs get hot.
Don't let the Rebs get hot. Let's talk about, speaking of hot seats, or speaking of heat, should I say? Is Porter Moser on the hot seat, or are they just Oklahoma just going all in on football? And hey,
this is
Porter Moser.
This is a really weird situation.
They're 4-1, but they have the 128th ranked offense. It's weird.
Isn't this a really weird?
Auburn can't throw interceptions to him every week. That was a joke that Auburn lost that game.
Isn't this a really weird situation, Mac? Like Porter actively shopping his name last year in the carousel, like to a point where DePaul was a serious consideration. Like
you got to strike while the iron's hot, man. Because
this is weird.
You have another losing season. Your name's not as hot. I get what he's doing.
It's weird. It's a weird situation down in Norman, Oklahoma. That's for sure.
Well, they only returned 2 players from last year's team in Jalen Moore and Sam Godwin. They go out in the portal. Yeah, this just reeks to me, right? They bring in Glenn Taylor from St. John's and Kobe Elvis from Dayton.
It was all last minute too, because Porter thought he was out the door.
Like,
Porter thought he was leaving.
Yeah, I'm staying. I gotta get
all of a sudden. Yeah, and he's recruiting now too. Like he got a 2-way stud, baseball, basketball, like superstar. He's like a 6'6" left-handed pitcher that throws mid-90s, and he can play in the post and shoot. Like it's really weird situation in Norman.
Yeah, Duke Miles comes in from High Point. Jaden Jones from Long Beach. Wage from Alabama. They lost everybody too in the portal. Hughley's gone. Owe's gone. McCullum's gone. Uzan's gone. Cooper's gone. And then, you had Soares graduate. This team's going to be ass. I mean, he can coach. I think he's a solid coach. It just hasn't worked out here. But it's like, I mean, I can't be bullish on Oklahoma when I look at this team. I go, in this conference this year, maybe they could maybe he can coach them up and they could be better than I think, and maybe perhaps be a bubble team. But because you'll have your opportunities just being in this conference. But consider me a skeptic on the Sooners. Mac?
So I've watched Oklahoma closely, obviously, with them being in the Big 12 the last forever. The hire was a little weird. I'm not going to lie. I kind of thought it was a little weird. Porter Moser coming from Chicago over to Oklahoma. They have struggled to get an identity. They kind of wanted to play like Loyola to start his career, and then he wanted to get athletic. Hasn't worked either. Now it kind of feels like he's trying to be in between. He's got a bunch of seniors. They are old. They have a bunch of 5th-year and 6th-year guys.
Third most experience entering the season.
Coming from High Point, Dayton, St. John's, Long Beach. I think that they'll be like 500 overall with all the bye games they play, but I think they'll have a losing record. I think probably NIT or miss the NIT altogether.
Yeah. They just don't could they fire him mid-season if things aren't going right?
No, I don't think it's to that.
I don't think they care enough. I don't think they care.
It's a really weird situation to read.
Yeah. Bieniek, you think that they're going to be a tournament team though, right?
I think they might be able to shoot it really well. They have 6 guys that shot over 36% from 3 last season on this roster. The X factor here is that Oklahoma is going to need to figure out who that lead guard is going to be, and that can create his own shot and also distribute it. I would lean towards Kobe Elvis rather than Duke Miles, but that wasn't Elvis's role with Dayton. Now he'd be taking a jump up in competition and role. That's not a recipe for a winning team. So I am out on Oklahoma. It just feels like a really rushed, put together roster of a lot of the leftovers in the transfer portal because of everything that we'd already mentioned. But I will say, Colby mentioned it earlier, Porter Moser is a pretty solid coach. Just a year and a half ago, they knocked off the #1 Alabama team, and they're jumping into the SEC here. They're going to play at one of the more slower tempos in conference. I think if you put them in last year, it would have been the 5th slowest in the SEC. That's going to keep them in some games. Porter Moser, X's and O's, could steal a win or two, maybe. I don't know. The SEC's got really good coaches. It's a really tough read for Oklahoma, but I got them in the bottom half as well.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you go to greener pastures, and sometimes you ruin a great thing that you had. They could have been building statues of you in Chicago, but instead you wanted to be a super millionaire, which I understand. It's tough though. It's decision making. Anyway, let's go over and talk about my darlings. All right. South Carolina Gamecocks. Oh, my surprise!
I mean,
team
shit.
last
Max
year.
got a ring with this logo on it, and it might not be your team, Colby.
It's true. That is true. But I did argue with him several times last year about these.
Yeah,
these,
Mac was
these
totally
Gamecocks
out.
being fun.
Yeah, they were one and done in the tournament, like I said they would be. Oregon smacked them.
Yeah, it was still a great season for if
it was
you're
a great
Gamecock
year.
fan. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're gonna try to do it again because they bring back some major minutes here. Jacoby Wright, Miles Stute, Colin Murray Boyles, and Zachary Davis all played over 20 minutes a game for the Cox last year. They're all back. Also some other reserve bench guys, Morris Ugasuk and Benjamin Bosmans Verdonk, all back. Played about 10 minutes a game or more, all back. And then they go and get Jordan Butler from Missouri. They bring in Nick Pringles. Once you pop, you can't stop from Alabama. And Jamari Thomas from Norfolk State, who lit it up with Sparty over there. But they did lose. It's tough. You know, you lost BJ Mack to graduation, who was a dog for them. You also lost Talon Cooper and Michi Johnson, who ended up being a very good transfer for them. And Stephen Clark. So, I just think Lamont Paris is a good basketball coach. So I think they probably won't be as good as last year. I think regression is due, but I still think they're going to be flirting around with the bubble, and that will be good enough for Gamecock fans and good enough for me because I think they're still solid. Mac, your thoughts on year 2 of Lamont Paris?
Year 3.
Three.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So they jumped up from 11 wins to 26. Them and Missouri basically flipped places where Missouri was the darling in year 1 of Dennis Gates and South Carolina was in the basement. And last year, Missouri goes to the basement. South Carolina jumps up. I think they're somewhere in the middle. I think they're around a 500 team. That you can't ignore some of the losses. I mean, of Michi Johnson going back to Ohio State. That sucks. And BJ Mack and then Cooper as well. I think they're going to be on the wrong side of a bunch of close games this year just because they won every close game last year. So, regression's coming, but I don't think they're going to be horrible. So probably middle-ish of the pack.
Yeah. Bieniek, Carolina, the Gamecocks, can they get back to the dance?
I don't think so. They lost a lot of offensive production, like we've already talked about, between BJ Mack, Talon Cooper, and Michi Johnson. That's tough. Colin Murray Boyles is the easy breakout pick here on the roster, but last year he was never circled on the opposing scouting report, and Mack knows how that goes. He was the 4th option. He had some blow up games offensively. Now it's clear this kid's going to have to be the dog for the Gamecocks to finish in the top half of the standings once again, like they did last year. And I don't think Lamont Paris did a good enough job reacquiring talent through the portal or the recruiting of the high school ranks for Murray Boyles to truly break out and lead this team to a top half finish. So I just think offensively they're going to struggle a little bit. And I do have this one near the back half, maybe middle-ish. They creep in, but probably a bottom half team in the SEC for me.
You said, what'd you say about them last year?
I think I picked them second to last because they didn't have a big man that could defend the paint.
Yeah, they were small last year, and defense was not the issue. But
correct, it was stunning to me. Caught me off guard.
It's okay. Paris can coach, man. Next we go to Slick Rick Barnes, the ageless wonder. Oh man! Now the god known as Dalton Knecht is gone, which a monster year, just a monster year. And with that, Vescovi gone, Josiah Jordan James gone. I mean, they lost a good amount here. A couple of guys that the transfer portal too, like Adu, Jonas Adu. So is it a rebuild? I don't know, because you bring back Zakai Zeigler, you bring back Jemai Mashek, and you go out in the portal and you bring in some guys. Darlin Stone Dubar from Hofstra with the Flying Dutchman, and Chaz Lanier from North Florida. I mean, they were deep sea diving over here. Igor Milicic from Charlotte, the Clits. Felix Okpara from Ohio State. They bring in Bishop Boswell, a 4-star. Jordan Gainey's back. I mean, they're Slick Rick. They'll be in the mix. They'll be dancing. Regression is definitely due, but they'll be in the mix. They'll still be like a tournament team to me. It's just Slick Rick. Great regular season coach. Mac, what do you make of this team?
Yeah, so a lot of question marks, and I will say, Barnes did come through last March. He got to the Elite Eight, and he was this close to beating Purdue and getting to the Final Four. So but they are gonna lose or miss. Sorry, I can't talk. Knecht. They're gonna miss Adu. Lanier is his former assistant son, who's now the head coach at Rice. That was at SMU. So that's Chaz Lanier now playing for Rick Barnes. Ziegler's back for about his 100th year, it feels like, and I don't know, man. They'll be a top half of the league team.
Regular season, they'll be on point. Yeah.
He can. He's such a good coach, and he's got a good culture there. They'll be in the dance.
Yeah, guarantee. I'd be shocked if they weren't in the dance, even though I expect regression. Yeah. Bieniek, where you at with these Vols?
Rick Barnes has had a top 5 defense nationally for 4 straight years and in 8 of his last 9 seasons in Knoxville. It gives these Vols a really high floor because they have to try to find that offensive identity. Can Chaz Lanier or Darlin Stone DeBar come in and be this year's Dalton Knecht? Some believe that they could. One of them could, if not both, translate their offensive game to the SEC. Personally, I'm going to wait to see, take the wait and see approach on that. Judge it in November, December to likely bet or just pick on this show every single game in the SEC play. But I can't get burned if I give Volunteers pole position inside the top 5, and that's what I'm going to do. So that's front 5. Contending for a title. That's what you can expect with Rick Barnes, and that's where they're going to land for me.
Yeah, let's go. The Texas Longhorns, Rodney Terry. Yeah, you go out and buy your team again. Oh gosh, I can't wait till you fucking choke, you losers. Anyway, I hate Texas. Horns down. They lose Max Asmus. They lose Dylan Disu. They lose Ethel Horton. Brock Cunningham. Tyrese Hunter. You know what I mean? Like their whole damn team for the most part. But they return Caden Shedrick from the UVA transfer. Chendall Weaver. And a couple bench reserves. But they go out and get Jordan Pope, who was a dog at Oregon State. Tremont Mark, who we've known from Houston and Arkansas. Art Kaluma, who's been in every goddamn stop too. Julian Larry from Indiana State, who's a big time defender. Also Jason Kent from Indiana State and Malik Presley from Vandy. They also add in a 5-star in Trey Johnson that everyone's talking about, as well as a 4-star in Nick Cody and Jamie Vincent, a 3-star, high 3-star at that. But I'm gonna fade them. Sure, they're talented. They can go buy a roster every year. Well, it's a good team to fade. They'll make the tournament. They'll lose in the first or second round, and I'll enjoy it. Mac, your thoughts?
I don't know if they're going to make the tournament. I think they're going to be on the bubble. I think the more and more we get farther away from Texas,
they're going to put them in with their name.
Well, I think that is true, but I think the more and more we get away from Chris Beard running that program and that class that they brought in and that culture they had going there when Terry took over, I think the worse Texas gets. I don't know. I have my question marks about this roster. They lost a lot to Sue, obviously, Max Asmith, and Tyrese Hunter as well. I know they bring in Pope from Oregon State. They bring in Mark from Arkansas, Kaluma from K-State. and the pair of Indiana State transfers. But I just have my question marks. I don't know how this team's going to mesh, and I don't know. I'm still skeptical of Rodney Terry, in my opinion.
I agree. Noah, your thoughts on these Longhorns? Are you hooking them?
You know, I think I've maybe been the most skeptical of Rodney Terry on this show. And I began prepping for this podcast thinking that I'd be low on Texas this season, but the construction of this roster, I think, is all right. Close to pretty good. You know, Julian Larry coming over from Indiana State after playing 34 minutes with the Sycamores last year, averaging almost 5 assists per game. He's going to be a bulldog on defense too. He's going to come in, know his role, be a distributor. And there's a lot of talent on the outside here. 6 efficient shooters from 3. You know, Tremont Mark is a baller. Caden Shedrick is a 5 who shot at 37.5% from deep. Trey Johnson's a wing that excels offensively. You know, he's a good ball handler. He's probably, you know, scouting report says he needs to work a little bit coming off of ball screens, but that's probably where he's going to work this season. So, you know, hopefully iron sharpens iron here in practice or whatever. The only concern that I have for Texas is that outside of the 2 incomers from the Sycamores, you know, Texas portal we're all kind of from losing teams last year. It'll be an interesting year in Austin, and Rodney Terry needs a good one. He needs a good year in Austin, and I am on the fence about it. You know, it's better than what the roster's better than what I thought it was going to be coming into this show, but I still am not all the way in.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I just think they'll probably deserve to not be in the tournament. They'll put them in. And that's just how it works. Moving along, let's get over to those Aggies, their rivals, the buzzsaw. That's my buzzsaw. Horrible. Look, Wade Taylor is back. A slew of other minutes are back. Jace Carter, Solomon Washington, Anderson Garcia, Henry Coleman III, Manny Obeski. All back. Hayden Hefner, no relation to Hugh. And they goes out and gets Zurich Phelps, Pharrell Payne from Minnesota, Phelps obviously from SMU, Wilcher from Nebraska. I like this team.
They got like everybody back.
Yeah. They could be a pain in the ass to play. I mean, what'd they lose? Julius Marble
and Tyrese Radford.
Yeah, Radford. He'd been
Boots was the only blow, honestly.
I would say they will be. This is one that could threaten the top 5 to me. Give me the buzzsaw. I'm high on the buzzsaw. I think they're going to be definitely in the mix this year. Mac.
Yeah, no, it's Buzz is just such a unique character and runs such a unique program. It feels like they're so up and down. They were 5th and they were 2nd last year. They had all these expectations going into last year, and they almost missed the tournament. Then they rally late. They get to the dance. They beat Nebraska. They almost beat Houston. I'm with you from a production standpoint and returning minutes and returning production. They should be right there at the top of the league. So I'll probably put them in my top 5 just because they have the most continuity coming back by far. And Buzz is a proven winner at A&M.
Yeah. Bieniek, this is easy, right?
Yeah, Buzz Williams may not have fulfilled the 5th year in his 10-year prophecy, but Texas A&M looks poised to do it in his 6th. The Aggies.
I know we don't know what he's going to be like in his 6th year. He's never been anywhere for 6 years.
I know. They look poised to do some damage here in his 6th year. They returned 72% of their minutes from last year. That's the most in the SEC. They had the 2nd most experienced SEC roster in the preseason, according to Torvik. Wade Taylor is going to be the alpha guard. There's no question about that. And this team's going to attack the glass aggressively. I almost said attack the grass. That would have been a tremendous soundbite for Colby on that soundboard. But
maybe against Missouri
tomorrow. Texas A&M, on both ends of the floor last year. Number 1 offensive rebounding rate, number 1 defensive rebounding rate in the conference. The Aggies are going to have a really, really high floor this year. Maybe some roles in question outside of Wade Taylor offensively, but they are going to be in the race to win an SEC banner this year.
I agree. I completely agree. Now let's talk about these doors. Look, Damani's in the chat. He's a Doors fan. What's up with these Vanderbilt Commodores? No more Jerry Stackhouse. They go get Mark Byington from James Madison. Did a hell of a job there. Now he met with the team, and there is no team with the exception of J.Q. Roberts, who played 13 minutes a game for them last season. Everybody else is gone. All right, I'm not going to go through the whole damn roster, folks. They're gone. If you saw them play last year, they're gone. And they still have that ridiculous volleyball court with it's above ground. I don't understand how you have that much SEC money, but you can't get a normal fucking basketball gymnasium. Yet you're remodeling the fucking football stadium. You just keep doing the construction and just start building a new basketball stadium, please. Anyway, they go out and they bring in first off a couple Hokie transfers and Tyler Nickel and MJ Collins. Jalen Carey follows over coach from JMU. AJ Hoggard comes in from Michigan State. Jason Edwards from North Texas. Chris Mannon from Cornell. Devin McLaughlin, no relation to Chester, comes in from BC. Keani Wright from USC. Grant Huffman from Davidson. Alex Hemingway from Clemson. Good Lord. Karis Bilal is a three-star recruit they're excited about. I mean, I think the guy can coach, but this is going to be a tough year, I think.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the roster. I think, like you said, I like Byington, but I think this thing needed to be gutted a little bit, and I like the full roster turnover. I wish he had taken a couple more freshmen, to be honest, because I think this is going to take more than one cycle to flip. But I mean, I think maybe this is a team that plays better and better in February, but I think that they're gonna struggle just with all these new faces, and just it's Byington's first time at the Power 5 level too. He's learning the SEC, and Vanderbilt is not an easy job, so it's hard not to put them right there at the basement.
Yeah. I have them bottom 4.
Yeah.
Bieniek, you said you thought there's something there this year with these doors, right?
Not quite. I'm more with Damani S's statement here. He says Vandy has NIL for basketball and baseball. No tourney though, for sure, for Vandy this year. I do think their NIL situation's improving on the basketball side, so maybe they'll be a little bit better in future seasons. But Colby believes in the if they suck at one sport, if they suck at two sports, they're going to be good in the third. The baseball team is going to be pretty good. Tim Corbin's pushing his chips in. He might retire here. So I think good karma might be on the Vanderbilt baseball field this season. On the basketball court, I think Mark Byington and company can get some buy-in from the guys, no pun intended, and they could establish some roles here offensively. There could be some upside to this team, especially shooting the ball. You got 6 guys that shot the 3 ball well last year, and the big men were efficient when they received scoring opportunities in the post. 6'7" McLaughlin can even stretch out and knock down a triple if you need him to. What nerves me is that a lot of these guys came in from good-ish programs that had uncharacteristically down seasons. And for AJ Hoggard, who did average over 5 assists per game, it was an underwhelming era overall for Tom Izzo, and a lot of Michigan State fans are happy to see him leave. So he was the lead dog there. He's going to be the lead dog here, I think, under Byington at Vanderbilt. It definitely makes me a little bit hesitant to buy into them here in the preseason. And honestly, on paper, this is the ugliest situation in my opinion. So I do have them in the cellar.
Yeah, let's get there, because long episode. These conferences are full of 10,000 teams these days. At 16th, I don't have Vanderbilt. I have LSU, because one thing I know about LSU is once the chips are down, much like Florida football, they quit. All right, so give me LSU at 16.
I had LSU as well.
It's a great handicap, right? It's like what's that?
I got Vanderbilt 16.
Well, they're my 15th. And just because it's year 1 of Byington, they buy in a little bit. Mac, who do you got at 15?
At 15, I did have Vandy too.
At 15, Bieniek.
I got Missouri 15th. You guys are not going to like that.
What a fucking clown. What are you talking about here? What do you mean? We're going to wager. You got to get you a job in the circus. All right? What the hell you do? Do a backflip for us right now.
I don't know why you guys are like, this was literally an 0-18 team last year. I have them taking a step up. They'll win a game or two in the SEC, maybe 4, but I don't see a good outcome this season. So it's not a bold take. They were literally 0-18 last year.
Mac, we keep receipts, right? Let's go to next up, which would be 14. I have the Oklahoma Sooners at 14. Mac,
I have Boomer Sooner as well. Well, you can't get excited about this team.
I know. Bieniek, who do you got at 14?
It's a clean sweep. We got the Sooners 14th unanimously.
Boomer loser.
At 13, I got them Georgia Bulldogs and Snow White. Mac, who do you got?
I went South Carolina at 13. I think they take a step back.
I can't wait for the season.
Regression.
I can't wait for the season.
Regression. I almost went Georgia, but I'm going Gamecocks.
Bieniek, who do you got?
LSU 13.
Okay. At number 12, we're only one spot off, Mac. I do have South Carolina at 12.
He gave you that much shit for just one spot.
Their roster's underwhelming.
I still think they're going to be on the bubble. They're going to be on the bubble.
For what it's worth, I think the top 12 teams in this conference are going to find themselves in bubble or in the tournament. So yeah, I'll give it to you.
You got South Carolina at 12, Bieniek?
No, I got Mississippi State at 12.
Okay. Ooh. Wow. Okay. Mac, who do you got at 12?
I mentioned it, Georgia. They're in the NIT. 12 seed, perfect NIT for Mike White again.
All right, you ready for the controversy? At 11th in the SEC. But yet I have them making the tournament over the 10th seeded team in the SEC.
Texas.
The Texas Longhorns.
Yeah.
You gave that away.
Who do you got at 11, Mac?
I have Missouri at 11. Like I said, I think they split the difference from year 1 to year 2. I think they're a bubble team. Probably end up in the NIT.
Bieniek?
I have the Cox firmly on the bubble. South Carolina 11th for me. I think they're close to getting in the NCAA tournament. I can see the possibility of it a little bit more than the previous 5 that I've talked about. But honestly, I think 10 teams from the SEC make the NCAA tournament.
I agree with you. 10 get in, and it's the 11th team that gets in, not the 10th team, which for me is the Mississippi State Bulldogs. They're going to miss out on the tournament because they're going to put Texas in, even though Mississippi State's better than them. And this is life. Give me the Dogs at number or Hail State, I should say. The Bulldogs, I guess it counts. At number 10, Mac, who do you got at 10?
Did you just do this hypothetical to rile yourself up in a scenario that you have no idea what skills or anything?
Yeah. 100%.
Exactly.
Corruption at its finest, Sankey.
And Texas won't even be a 12 seed playing game. They'll get an 11 seed.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. I have Texas at 10 in Dayton. That's my.
I have Texas at 10, not in Dayton.
Yeah, they don't go to Dayton. Are you kidding me?
They're not
going to put
Dayton.
Texas in Dayton.
It draws.
One phone call. And it's like, oh, they're not going to Dayton.
They're going to Houston.
Exactly.
They'll put the number 9 team in the SEC in Dayton.
Well, my number 9 team is your Florida Gators. I think they will get into the dance, but I think it'll be a little bit of a disappointing season for the Gator fans potentially, because I've seen some that have them in the top 5.
We've finished 6th last year. It's in the range of outcomes, I think. 6th to 9th. It's not. This is a good conference. It's not the It's not crazy.
Matt, who do you got at 9?
We said we didn't really like his team, but I love the guy, and I think they'll find a way to guard their way into a 3rd straight 9th place SEC and get to the tournament. Hail State.
Yeah,
I give you credit for doing it. You had the balls. I did not. I took my cap.
Baby.
If they get to the NCAA tournament, if they win 20 or 22 games, like
they should be in the tournament. I told you they're gonna get fucked over because that's the one school you can always fuck over in the SEC is Mississippi State. So they're gonna do that. Remember, we had this conversation. I like the play though. Who do you got at number 9 there, Bieniek?
Georgia.
Wow.
Ooh, he likes the dogs.
Wow.
I'm high on Georgia.
All right. Okay. Look at number 8 for me. I got the Ole Miss Rebels getting in there, getting in the mix. Should be a fun season there. Take another step forward. Mac, your thoughts on number 8? Or I'm sorry, yeah. Your ranking on number 8? Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of went back and forth on this one. I went Florida at 8, solidly in the tournament. I said 4 to 6, but then we started going through these teams, and I'm like, damn, I got to slide somebody down. So Florida at number 8 for me.
Bieniek?
I know Clark's poking fun at me, but I don't have any alliance with Purdue. There's just a lot of Purdue fans that I went to school with that they're all engineers or whatever. They all come into the Metro Detroit area to work on cars and whatnot. So that it just rubs off on me. The Florida thing, I remember growing up 5-6 years old wearing Joakim Noah jerseys. Like that. I have Gator blood. So my aunt played basketball for Florida, for those that don't know and just tuning in to this show. I've got Kentucky 8th, and for what it's worth, it's a back-to-back pick. I've got Arkansas 7th. I think both teams are good enough to get in the NCAA tournament. I'm not bought in fully on either one, but I think they're going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be a mid-off between the two for a lot of the season. I think both of them are probably in the 7, 8, 9-ish seed range in the NCAA tournament.
Wow.
At Noah B77. Oh, they're going to come right at you.
I feel like dangerously confident in my SEC predictions this year. It's like dangerous.
At number 7 for me, I got the Missouri Tigers and Dennis Gates.
That's the wow for me.
Mac, who do you got at number 7?
Yeah, so this is where it gets good. I did go Arkansas. I think Arkansas is going to be a very, very entertaining up and down team. I got them at 7.
Yeah, and I had Arkansas 7. I went with my 8-7 in a row.
All right. Well, at number 6 for me is the Tennessee Volunteers. Take a little step back, but you're still a good regular season, kick ass. You know what I mean? Yeah. Who do you got at number 6 there, Mac?
I'm going to actually flip. I'm going to slide Tennessee down to 7, Arkansas up to 6. So, yeah, Arkansas 6, Tennessee 7.
Bieniek at number 6?
Ole Miss.
Ooh, I like it. All right, at number 5 for me, I got the Auburn Tigers. Mac?
At number 5, I went Kentucky. I think they're solid. 5 or 6 seed in the tournament this year.
Bieniek?
At number 5, I went Tennessee. And if they figure out, if they do have a connect or at least just a dynamic score in a way, their ceiling's higher. But this is as high as I could go.
All right. At number 4, I have the Kentucky Wildcats. Let's go, Mark Pope. Let's get it going. Mac, at number 4?
At number 4, I went the Auburn Tigers.
Bieniek, number 4?
I got the Iron Bowl matchup in 4. I have Alabama 4th. Like I said, I raised a little bit of concern on the whole young blood injury. I don't know if they have guard depth to truly handle that. Rylan Griffin would have been a huge help for this team.
Well, at number 3, I got the Texas A&M Aggies. I almost had them at 2. They're gonna be a fun team to watch. The Buzzsaw takes care of business. Who do you got at number 3?
At number 3, I do have the Texas A&M Aggies. I like all their production coming back. Let's go.
Bieniek? Gator. Let's go.
Florida.
There we go. Could happen. At And at number 2, I have the Alabama Crimson Tide. It's easy to see a Tide turn into second place. A lot of hype. It's scattered ass. You start to get that NIL money. You know what I mean? You still have a good season, but you just don't get to that top level. Who do you got at number 2?
At number 2, here's my sleeper, baby. If you look what he did at Texas Tech, year 1 to year 2, they got into second place. They were doing it at Texas before a little dust up. Now he goes over to Ole Miss. They get it off the ground. Chris Beard and the Ole Miss Rebels, all the way up to the 2 seed here. Let's go, Rebs.
Fun.
Yeah. I like it. I think there's 4 sturdy SEC programs that I couldn't put Ole Miss above, but I really wanted to, and I tempted fate. But 6 was as high as I could go. But I also give you kudos for that pick. I wish I had them a little bit higher. 2 at Texas A&M.
I like it, buddy. I like it. I almost had them. Like I said, I almost had them at 2. At number 1 for me, Woo Pig Suey. Yes, look, he met with the team. There is no team, but he also met with the SEC championship for the regular season, and there was one. Give me John Calipari coming in there with that Tyson chicken money. They're gonna get that. They're gonna get that outright regular season title. Mac, who do you got at 1?
Roll Tide, roll 3 out of 5, and SEC fans are pissed. They're winning in football. They're winning in basketball. God damn, the Tide and continue to roll. Nate Oates, let's go.
Bieniek, who do you got at 1?
The Iron Bowl matchup. We both had these 2 teams flipped. I had Alabama 4th. I have Auburn winning the regular season this year in the SEC.
Wow, there we go. We 3 different champs. That's fantastic. Who wins
conference
the SEC
tournament title?
Yeah. Who wins the SEC tournament? I'm going to take a shot on Chris Beard and Ole Miss. Mac?
Calipari and the Razorbacks. It used to be Kentucky's event. Maybe it was just Calipari's event.
Bieniek, who do you got winning the
Tennessee?
SEC championship?
Tennessee. I think the defense is going to be able to play 3, 4, 5 straight days at the neutral site. We've seen it before. I think we get it again. Volunteers.
Yeah. Surprise
Sleeper
team for me, or sleeper team. Well, I mean, I have Missouri at 7th, so I mean that's probably it. Maybe you could say Arkansas at 1, one of those 2. But I think Missouri might be the biggest jump from expectations. So
yeah, you see, like this is probably when like the preseason poll would help because I don't know if like Arkansas they finished 3rd to last year, so like that would by the way we've done it, that would be your sleeper. And okay. I'd give you that.
Well, cool. Give me that. Then I'll take that all day with that Tyson chicken blood money with the Clintons murder money. It's just like it's the ultimate shoe fits. Mac, who's your sleeper?
It's got to be Ole Miss, right?
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think you took that title for me.
Chris Beard, baby, let's go.
I read it off in my notes that I had Ole Miss as my sleeper team, but I think Mac took that. He ran past me, stole it, and kept running. So I'm gonna have to switch up and go to Texas A&M. I had them finishing in 2nd last year. They finished 7th. I think they compete for a banner this year.
Yeah, and the disappointment for me would be, I guess Texas at 11th. Surprise, surprise! I hate on Texas. Mac.
Yeah, I mean, is Tennessee at 7 a disappointment? Not really.
Not really.
They won it last year.
They did, but they lost so much. And I mean, 7 seed's going to get you an 8 or 9 seed in the dance.
Yeah.
Again, it's the exact same thing we're talking about with Arkansas. You know.
Yeah, I would probably say is South Carolina disappointment at 13.
That was what I was going to choose too.
Yeah, they finished 2nd last year.
Sure,
second
that works.
Oh yeah, tied for 2nd.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that there's 4 teams with 5 losses.
It's probably going to happen again. There's probably going to be like a 5-way tie.
You have 10 million teams.
Yeah. I think I got to go. I think I got to go South Carolina too. They finished tied for 2nd. I've got them 11th. So, yeah.
There we go. You haters, you fucking haters out there. Folks, that's our show. Make sure to check out all the other previews that we're doing. College basketball a month away. Let's go. Also check out the college football experience and the college baseball experience. as well as the FCS College Football Experience and the Sports Gambling Podcast and the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. So check out all that good stuff. Till next time, make sure you give Noah Bieniek a follow on Twitter at NoahB77.
Plenty of baseball coverage for me,
like that.
for all the SEC
Noah
fans.
B77_ Mac's on Twitter at Moneyline_Mac. I'm on Twitter at the Colby D. The College Basketball Experience is on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. So please make sure you follow, and please, if you can help on over to iTunes, give us a 5-star review. It is the season, folks. So do that. And till next time. This is the College Basketball Experience. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
I've lost my mind. I'm just ahead of my time. My brain is insane. I know I'm out of my mind. My mind lose control. The mind tricks the mind.